Welcome to the second part of 3.4 where we're going to talk about multiplicity. Multiplicity is the number of times a factor occurs. So, for example, if I have this, x minus 5 to the fourth, I would say that factor has a multiplicity of 4 because that factor occurs 4 times. It would be x minus 5, x minus 5, x minus 5, x minus 5. It occurs 4 times. That's what to the fourth means. So that exponent on that factor is called the multiplicity of that factor. So let's practice this a little bit. Example number 1. I have 2 factors here. I have an x minus 4 factor and I have an x minus 1 factor. The x minus 4 factor occurs twice. The x minus 1 factor occurs 3 times. Now the reason we care about the multiplicity is if the multiplicity is even, the graph touches, or I like to say bounces, touch or bounces on the x-axis. And we'll draw an example of that in a second. If the multiplicity is odd, the graph crosses the x-axis. So this first multiplicity is even, so that's going to bounce. The second multiplicity is odd, so it's going to cross. Now, one last thing on this problem. It asks for the 0, not the factor. This is a factor. If I want to find the 0 of that factor, from last lesson we learned, zeros or roots or solutions, those are all the same thing, then I take that factor, set it equal to 0, and solve it. And then that's how I find the 0 of it. That's the difference between a factor and a 0. Factor is written like this. 0 is when I set it equal to 0 and solve. So there's that one. I want you to try example number 2 on your own. List out the factors, set them equal to 0 and solve them. Say what their multiplicity is and then if it's going to bounce or cross. Pause the video, try that out on your own. Ready, set, go. So for our first 0, it's x minus 1. Set it equal to 0 and solve. We get x equals 1. The multiplicity on that is 2 because it occurs twice. And 2 is even, so it's going to bounce. The second one is an x plus 2, so we set it equal to solve it to get x equals negative 2. The multiplicity on that is a secret 1. Remember, if there's no number written there, it's a 1, which is odd, so it's going to cross. Now, in the next video, we're going to put together everything we've learned so far with end behavior and multiplicity to sketch out a graph of a function.